All right, we are live again in the Krypt, back at home here, and I'm joined again by my good friend, the Kemper Killer himself, the lost Leatherface, Brett Big Schwag Wagner. What's up, brother?
What is going on? Happy Friday the 13th.
Happy Friday 13th. Happy Friday 13th, everybody. I know everybody's been watching those Friday 13th movies, but we got a couple Friday 13th movies, and one you suggested.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out, and I'm just silly, and I should have done it. I take notes on when we do stuff. I'll take notes, and I know you keep your stuff on your computer, so you could do it right in front of you. But I got my notes here, and Friday the 13th. I was trying to figure out how far back it goes. That somebody, maybe you can look it up while we're sitting here. Where did Friday the 13th? Unlucky 13, 13, sometimes there's not 13 floors, there's not all this stuff, but where did the Friday the 13th just come from the movies, or was there something back in the day that 100 years ago, 50, 60 years ago, where Friday the 13th was this thing and people were like, you got to be careful on Friday the 13th?
Well, I think it was always kind of the legend of Friday the 13th because Unlucky 13, but I don't know. I mean, that's a great question. You know who would know that is Peter Anthony. The man's like an encyclopedia on that stuff.
Well,
But
hopefully.
I'd have to say Friday the 13th was kind of already kind of a rumor, like that, had that horror theme around it, but I might be wrong. It might, Friday the 13th, the movie may have made Friday the 13th what it is. I'm
I mean,
not
it definitely
quite
helped
sure.
it.
No, well,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. We got our good friend Adam Newsom here.
the
He
man,
was
the
on last
martial
week.
artist,
The
the pro
martial artist,
wrestler,
the wrestler brother, and
the
horror
the
fanatic.
father. I think he's the father.
He is a father.
That's
He's
right,
a
the
great
father.
guy. He's got does some great things with the kids, taking not just his own, but a good role model in his community. Does some amazing things. Met him at Scarefest, which I'm excited about again. I know he'll be there. Hopefully, can get some of my good friends there that I really want to get there. I think it's a great show. Well, we're going to keep working on some things. So
It is.
hopefully,
I've never been there, but you've talked about it, and all my friends have talked about it. It has become so. If there's a top five shows in the United States, you know, I mean, I think Horror Hound's one of them. Monster Mania be one. I think Scarefest has moved into one of those top fives as far as conventions that hit up.
oh,
But
I mean, I've done some amazing conventions. I've been really lucky to attend some fantastic shows. But I love Scarefest to death. They just announced two more people at that event. I was watching their live stream. They announced Daniel Harris and Scout Taylor Compton.
of course,
Yes, yes. Well, we had the Talk Scary boxes made, those VHS boxes that Michael toasted the art, and Daniel
yep.
Harris actually has the sticker part. It was just going to be for stickers. We decided to make it the back of the box because I thought it looked cool, and she's got it hanging behind her in her live stream.
You know, Danielle Harris and Scout Taylor Compton, when you go do shows, I did a show with them up in Canada, Frightmare in the Falls. And,
Uh,
they do, first of all, the lines, without doing the bloody photo ops with them, the lines they have is just amazing. It's a Bill Moseley line. It's a Freddy Krueger line. They are that deep. I mean, we're talking like six deep. The lines they wrap around. They have to put special line, little curtain stuff up for them so you could get these people wrapped around in a line like you're going to the bank. And then they do the bloody photo ops, which is amazing. I should have just asked if I could get in there for a bloody photo op with them. So
I'm
yeah,
sure they would have done it. Scout, I haven't had a chance like Crypticon Minnesota. They were both there last year, and I'm like, I'll catch up with them Sunday because it's hard when you're running a table and stuff. And I'd walk by Daniel Harris a few times, Scout Taylor Compton, and I've met Scout before, one time before, actually at my first event that I was vending, and she was always really nice. She was really sweet, and I caught them as they were going to the plane. I'm sure Danielle Harris was worn out. She's like, I'm just going to the to the limo, and Scout even stopped that time. that's when I gave her the VHS boxes and the art pieces, and oh, he's so nice. I love them both. I mean, I'm a big fan of Danielle Harris. I think what she did in Halloween 4 and even 5, whether you like the movie, was impressive as a kid to pull it off, because kid actors can be very hit or miss.
Well, you can see how well they deal with the fans. I mean, they do quite a bit of. Sorry, my camera resting on my calendar, and my lap is moving around. They're definitely great with the fans. They sign so much when they have, like I said, they have the big line. So if they're there for 3 days, I mean, they are.
Oh, I'm tired. I get it.
Yeah.
I didn't take it as a snub or
Oh,
anything,
I
but
know that. I'm just saying.
this time, well, the layout at Crypticon is very different, and I was one of the last vendors. I had a great spot. They, like as far as to set up, but I was one of the last vendors, and I bring a lot of stuff, but they did me right. But I wasn't really the way it's set up in Minnesota. It's a hotel, so the hotel is just like filled. It's a big hotel. It's not like a hall or anything like that. So you walk through the whole hotel, and it's just I must have missed a lot too, because I mean people were here, there were all different rooms, which was really cool. Everywhere you went, there was either vendors or uh, celebrities. You just
Oh
walk
yeah.
by them constantly. And
What I was getting at is they sign. They're so good to their fans. I mean, they'll sit there for a solid 8 hours and sign. I watched them do it, and then they'll do the signing at their booth, at their tables. Then they go do the pictures, the non-bloody pictures. Then they do the bloody pictures. I mean,
they're
you
busy.
get your money's worth when you have those two girls come in and do a show.
Yeah, I mean, they're brilliant doing this talk scary to me between the two of them. They're both a lot of fun, talking horror, and they definitely know they're beautiful ladies, and they use it to their advantage, and they're really seem really genuine, especially Scout, who I've had time to talk to. I've never really had a chance to talk to Danielle, but I mean they're on fire right now with Talk Scary to me. So congrats to them.
Tell me a little bit about it, because I don't know. I'm out of the loop.
Well, I think we should start wearing bikini tops when we do these together, and we're going to bring in those fans. I'm telling you.
Is that what they're doing?
Oh, they do everything. They talk pretty much any like they are very spicy. We'll just talk it.
Wow.
Put it that way. Oh yeah.
I don't know if any. I mean, I know Adam Newsom, our buddy out there in Kentucky. He's not afraid of a skimpy pair of shorts, but I don't know if I would look good in them.
Yeah. I haven't looked good with my shirts off, showing my boobs in a couple of years. But
no, it's not going to happen. But Adam with the pro wrestling, he's used to that little tiny European bathing suit cut.
But we got a few great people here. Nicole Vegas, who's an actress, fantastic. Days of the Dead, she's saying Las Vegas. I'd love to get lost to Las Vegas, but it's almost out of my travel time with my van and towing things around. I think I was looking at it because Nick Benson was mentioning there might be a new convention he'd love, hope to see me out at. And it's just, I was looking, it's 20-hour drive, and I'm trying to keep it around 10 hours or less, because it's just, it takes a toll. It's 2 days traveling there, 2 days back. So there's 4 days off of work just in travel time.
And then add three for the show, for the convention.
Yeah.
I mean, you're out a week to 8 days. It's tough.
And that's if I just don't even do anything else except for the convention, the drive, the convention, and head home. So
listen, that's you peeing in a cup, not stopping.
Yeah,
that's not bathroom breaks. That's Gatorade bottle.
Yeah, I always got Michael Myers sitting next to me in the passenger side if it ain't somebody else. So, Mike kind of gives me that dirty look. He's like, don't you dare. So I got to pull over. I'm happy when I got to go take a pee break, to tell you the truth. It gives me a chance to stretch those legs. But yeah. So tonight, we almost forgot what we were about tonight. We got that's how it happens with us.
Let's talk real quick. Real quick before we get into the movies. Let's talk about where you're going to be this year. What are some of the places you're going to be hitting up that you already know about?
So far, I'm confirmed at Crypticon Minneapolis,
nice,
and Crypticon Kansas City.
Very good.
Also Scarefest. I just booked my table there.
That's 3.
And we're doing big areas. You know me. It's 20 foot tables at least. And then a buddy of mine's going to this place called Midwest Monster Fest, and
That's right.
it's
East
actually
Moline, Illinois.
yes, and that works out perfect because on my way back from Krypticon, Minneapolis, I'm going to stop in there, have a 20-foot table. I'm almost thinking about adding another table on and talking to Jeff, who he's going to be on the show, isn't he?
Yeah, we're
You
gonna have
got him to come on the show on
Jeff
Monday.
O'Neill Monday night. Yeah, we're gonna have him on. He's a big promoter, guy that loves music as well. A creative guy. He's a I would say he's an artist because he does a lot of shadow boxes for stuff. Loves his pro wrestling. It looks like loves his horror. Obviously, loves music. So I'm pretty excited to have him on to talk with us and talk everything Midwest Monster Fest.
Oh, I'm excited too, and I definitely want to not let him down and let him know when Doomsday's Krypt's coming. We're putting on a kick-ass table for him too. We're gonna have some really cool stuff made. Definitely gonna have to up my Leatherface Texas Chainsaw Massacre game, but not too much because I want my buddy Brett to be making that bank, making the big bucks.
Thank you, buddy.
But
Now, real quick, a little bit of history about that. They call that the Quad Cities. There's two cities on the side of Iowa, the Davenport and I should forget the other city. Then there's Rock Island and Moline on the other side. So yeah, that's going to be fun. I used to go there for 10 years doing a Harley show, Sturgis on the River, they called it, and did that for 10 years. So that little city there is pretty cool. And, East Moline side is awesome. There's a little bar there, Steve's Old Time Tap, which when I used to come in town, they would break out the Schwag burger. So you and I are going to go over there. Maybe we'll go with Jeff and we'll go over there and have a tasty beverage and see if they'll cook up the Schwag burger again.
absolutely, man. I'm down for the Schwag burger. I'm definitely down for a drink. I don't get a chance to do that often, so
And
when I
I
get
don't
to an
do it
event
often either.
after, is always nice to have. We got Travis Allen here, who I met at Minnesota. He bought the pinhead. I thought I could get another one, and I already missed that pinhead, but it's an awesome piece. I'm glad you're loving it, Travis Allen. That was Fear of the Dark Studios, I believe, mold, painted, and pinned by James Shaver. So give a little shout out there. A New Kind of Fear, excuse me, New Kind of Fear. Anthony Jordan, welcome to the stream. Adam Newsom, reach out to them. I've even mentioned to them about Brett being there. I also want to see two of my favorite people there, two of my friends, and they're always welcome to sit with me if they don't have room for anything else. Mr. Brett Wagner and Beatrice Bupley, love them too. And I consider them really close friends, and I think Scarefest is a perfect event. I'd love to see Brett at Scarefest. I mean, I think him dressing up like Leatherface, the fans will love it. Brett's a likable guy. He definitely is, and you love your fans.
Yeah, man. I look at I am very lucky that I've been acting for 32 years, I think now. And so when you get to do a few things that are cool, and even though I like to say Leatherface for a week or a day and a half, it still was a fun time to do it and be able to go out and sign some pictures for that. But the Monster Garage and we love Kentucky. I love going up to I go up to Pikeville, Kentucky, and around those areas where Adam is out of, and we have a good time doing some drag racing up there. And Kentucky's that's a hit place, man.
I'd never been to Kentucky, and it was I enjoyed the experience. Most of it was like you said, it's hit or miss wherever you go. You can go someplace great and then be like, oh man, this thing really where I want to be. But they put on a great event out there. That's Scarefest. So I loved it. At least now we know Adam Newsom. I know you. If we could get you to Scarefest at some point, I'd love to see you there. Me, you, and Adam can go out for a beer or something. And
we could do an impromptu wrestling match right there.
Yeah, no kid. Tag team match, battle royal, knocking over everything on a Doomsday's Krypt table.
Well, I don't know if we want to do that, but we could pick someone else's table.
I'll clear an area. We can do a table smash. I'll bring an extra breakable table. The pinhead was gorgeous. Mr. Steve Merlo is here. How are we doing? I'm doing well. How are you doing, Brett?
I'm doing good, man. Thanks for asking. If Steve's asking, Steve Merlo is he's kicking some serious ass lately. He's doing really well, and is
Over 100,000
man. I'm
on the Sawyer
telling you,
Massacre.
listen, it is tough, and we watched another well in our movies. I wanted to do a couple different movies talking about tonight, and then you were like, "Hey, man, it's Friday the 13th, so
Yeah, we had to. We got
had
to.
to." So you were nice enough to let me keep one film in, and then we covered, Friday the 13th Part
We
6,
did.
and then we also covered Friday the 13th Vengeance, which I have never seen before, but I was pleasantly surprised, and we'll get into that in a second.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to talking about that one. And you still got to watch Vengeance 2, which I'll bring it up now. Tomorrow night, Jason Brooks will be on, and we're going to be talking Vengeance 2. I'm excited to talk to Jason Brooks. I had him on one time before with Mick, and I hadn't seen the movie. I was kind of like you. I'm like, wow, this is fantastic.
Yeah,
Um,
they did a really good job on the movie, and I'm excited to. In fact, when we probably get off with you tonight, I'll probably go watch, Friday the 13th Vengeance Part 2, and because now I'm kind of engrossed into it, so I want to
oh,
see.
it's fantastic, man. Vengeance 2. I love Vengeance 1 and Vengeance 2. Man, they even up the game even more. 117,000 for Mr. Merlot.
Oh, thank you. Wow. So look at, I made a thing. I made a crack like a couple weeks ago. I said he's probably at 250,000, and I think they were at 25,000. But you watch that he'll. I don't know how many months it'll take, but he'll crack that 250, and who knows where it'll go next year. But hopefully, Steve will decide to do another film in between there, so we can get Steve.
I'm sure he will. I mean, he's got so much talent. If he doesn't make another movie again, it'd be a total shame. And maybe sometime we'll get you, me, and Steve on together. We'll talk some Texas Chainsaw Massacre and the Sawyer Massacre. Before we get diving into this, I think this would be cool. Unfortunately, I think you're booked for both shows. So even if you could, Krypticon, Travis Allen would love to see you at Krypticon, Minneapolis. He was there. I don't know if he's going to the Kansas City one. Love to see it, but I know that's a long trek. But yeah, I'd love to see Brett at a Krypticon event as well. Hopefully they see this and see the big Schwag, and he's out there and doing his thing. You dress it up like Leatherface. You're bringing some cool Texas Chainsaw Massacre merch. This stream might turn out to be a convention kind of talking stream the way we're going here.
Yeah, listen. It's all the guys that have played Leatherface before. When you go see some of their tables, and you go see the, R.A. Mihailov's table, or when I go see Dan Yeager do a show, or when Gunnar used to do shows when he was with us still. You got to step up your game. So I try to find anything I can that's cool, that's relatable to what our movie or what I did. So I mean, Spirit World or Spirit Halloween, I think they call it now. Spirit Halloween stores had all these really cool rubber sledgehammers. And my wife, my lovely wife, who's so good, loves to go shopping anyways at anything horror and Halloween. And, she came home with like 20 of these rubber sledgehammers. I'm like, what did you do? What are you doing? But they're great. They're great to sign. Anything you can to find that's relatable to what you've done or a character you've done. And if you can keep the prices low, I mean, the people love it. You have to, when I see your tables and how you set up your tables, it's tough to compete with that, because you pack so much stuff onto even a 10-foot
table. Minivan and a U-Haul trailer. I don't know how I get in there, man. This year was the first year I used U-Haul. The other tables, and they were pretty big, were just straight up packing it in the van. I think I could still do it, but I like to be able to put my seat back so I can move instead of driving like that all the way to Florida or something like that. It gets a little sore in the back. It takes me about a week to recover, and by then the event's going on, and I'm just sore.
It takes me like a day and a half to pack the van.
Yeah, well, it's what, I've gotten a lot better at it. Most of the time, because I'm really particular. The setup, like Scarefest, was great because it's horseshoe. That's easy for me to set up. When I went to Phantasm, it was a great spot. I had a big spot. Plus, I had Beatrice with me, so it was just an awkward type of setup, and it was almost trying to find the best place to get the tables. And once you get the table set up, it's easy to kind of get the stuff out. But sometimes it's just setting up the tables that takes the longest. Like the tables itself, not even the stuff on the table, but
Sure.
finding the right way out.
For me, when coming in being a guest and stuff, I would love to bring if it's something in LA, like I have Krypt IE Con coming up, so I can pack my car and with stuff to bring, and I don't have to worry about when you're flying out to some place then it's either I have to ship stuff ahead of time, which is fine. I'll ship 20 or 30 Funko Pops to a place I'm going, and if that doesn't work, then I will take an extra bag and I will just fill the bag with whatever I want, and then you pay an extra $40. This is a little hack, Schwag hack for you folks that are doing conventions, because to ship ship a box full of stuff to, let's say I'm going to Kansas City, a full 80-pound bag is going to be crazy, and box is crazy and it costs a lot. So for $40 or $50 to bring an extra bag on the plane is nothing. So there's your
That's why you want me to go to conventions so that you're at. So it's like, hey, John, I've got to fly in. Do you mind throwing some of this in there? I would do it for you. You
That's
know,
great,
I'd do that
man.
for you in a heartbeat. I'd make some room to throw a box of Schwag.
Yeah.
Schwag for the wag.
Thank you, man. That's always a blessing to have stuff like that and be able to use someone else to. I don't think I'm famous enough.
It's what buddies do. It's what friends do.
You are right. But so real quick before we get into this, so Krypt IE Con, which is they've done it a couple of years. It's a big deal out here in the Inland Empire and in California. It's fastly become a really huge convention. We got 3 Leatherfaces there. They're having a Scream reunion. They got the Terrifier folks going to be there. And it's a big deal, and I'm excited because there's only a few shows in California that really do well, and this is fast becoming a huge deal. So there's people coming from Wisconsin. Some guy said, "Hey, man, I'll see you at Krypt IE Con," and I'm like, "Aren't you in Wisconsin?" He goes, "Yeah, I'm flying out for that thing," and I'm like, "Holy crap, man!" When people are coming out from Wisconsin, got a guy coming in with his wife from Ohio that's going to be there. I mean, that tells
people
you
will travel.
Yeah. Yeah.
If the right guests are there, people will travel.
And then speaking of Las Vegas, who was talking about Vegas? February 11th, I'm going to be at Tom Devlin's Monster Museum in Boulder City, Nevada, which is just 15, 20 minutes outside of Vegas. So if you folks are in Vegas, come see us at Tom Devlin's Monster Museum. So
I find right outside of things is better. I love when conventions are right outside of the city. It just makes it easier as a vendor getting through, and and a lot of conventions seem to do that horror wise, and I love it. I absolutely love it.
That is where some of the best food you'll find is just outside of the city, just outside the city limits.
And it doesn't cost an arm and a leg.
That's right.
That's like you got to bring the old chainsaw, bring the take an arm and a leg in there with pay for the food. But my sister's out in California. When you go out there, I'll see how far away she is. Her and my nieces caught after going to Phantasm and spending time meeting everybody. They even went and saw that Smile movie in the theater like a week after they got home. So I'll see if they can come and visit you.
Yeah, man. Let me know. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, I'll see if they're in the area. I'm sure they'd love it. I'll let them know my good friend, the Big Schwag, will be there. Yeah, so we're gonna start. We're gonna start this over because I know you're on a time limit, and we're gonna be talking conventions. We're gonna be talking Midwest Monster Fest on Monday, guys. I'll be popping I'll be making the StreamYard for that. But we're gonna start off. Oh, he's got his notes ready. I got my notes right here. So that's why Brett will probably run the table because he actually studies a lot better than I do.
But listen. So we had 3 different movies. I was one of my suggestions was a movie I came across years ago called Stakeland, Stakeland, and I didn't know what to make of it. I remember I saw him like, all right, let me try this thing. So pleasantly surprised. I mean, there's with zombie movies, vampire movies, werewolf movies, there's so much stuff that's already been done. It's tough to find something that's different, that may have a little different angle, that maybe show some stuff that you go, oh wow, that's a little different. That's And this was the movie for me. I believe it was 2000. Let me get my note. Where were you at? There we go. 2010, I think it came out.
Yep.
It was directed by a guy named Jim Mickle, and he co-wrote it with one of his lead actors, Nick D'Amici. Now, this guy, once I watched the movie, I was like, oh my God, this is a new guy that I really love as an actor. But Stakeland, if you can imagine, folks, The Walking Dead, but with vampires, right? So you have a bunch of people trying to stay alive, traveling across the country. And instead of zombies all over the place, there's these vampires. And that's not even the worst part. There's the religious zealots out there that are even worse than the vampires. So I really dug the movie, dug the acting. It totally, I kind of blew my mind when I first saw it. And I was like, wow, this is just a really cool take. Jim Mickle, the director, he co-wrote that with Nick D'Amici, as I said, and their vampires were very brutal and very cool. It wasn't your typical, I'm going to suck your blood. These things were very kind of brutal, and I just loved it. I loved the makeup. I loved the acting. I loved the, there was besides that, we also had, which I had no idea, an actress, Kelly McGillis is in it, right? From
Yes.
Top Gun. Now, not that you might remember her from Top Gun, but a little bit older. Tremendous actress in it. Just all around, love the movie. And I want to get your thoughts before we get into some of the crazy stuff that happened. What did you think about the movie?
I agree with you. It felt like a movie where it was almost written to be a zombie movie. And they basically said, you know what? Zombies are being done. Let's use vampires instead. I love the acting. I thought Nick D'Amici was really good. Connor Palo, I think that's how you say his name.
Yeah,
was great as his sidekick or as the Mister, and his name was Martin in the movie. So I really enjoyed their connection. I wish we got more of that. There's a few things I'd like to delve in with this movie. I thought Kelly McGillis was fantastic. Daniel Harris was in the movie also, and Michael Cerveris played Jebediah Levin, the evil religious cult guy. So
the Brotherhood, yes.
The Brotherhood, yes. I enjoyed a lot of the movie. I think there was so much more. I could have went with a longer version where there was more character development. Like even with Martin and Daniel Harris's character, even Martin and Mister. I wish there was just a little. I think the acting was fantastic. I think overall the movie was really good. It was really well shot. I thought it was cool with the vampires. I wish we got a little more of that too. But overall, I enjoyed it. I thought it was there, and I know it wasn't a big budget movie, so I'm not going to harp on little things too much. But I just wish there was a little more about the vampires. I would have rather seen almost Connor and Nick, Mister and Martin connecting more and their relationship and their bond a little more. Him dealing with the loss of his parents, which you see in the beginning of the film, and their connection. I wish like A Last of Us or even The Quiet Place 2, where you kind of got that Joel Ellie vibe, where you just had that build up a little more. I think some of the characters, and I thought they were all great actors and actresses, were kind of just thrown in, especially Danielle Harris's character. I kind of felt, and I'm a big Danielle Harris fan, and I thought she was great in the movie, but I don't think her character was necessary. I don't think there was time to build up her character, and I think it took away from that. But I thought Kelly McGillis could have been used even more, though.
Could have. You know, and the Danielle Harris thing, her being pregnant and everything, and I agree with you. I think maybe when they were doing the movie, they looked for, they had a role, and Danielle Harris probably said yes, and they were excited to have her. And, she dies a terrible death. What you talk about in the beginning with Connor Paulo, Martin, right? I think that's his name, character name. His parents get killed, and he's young, and Mister, as we call him, Nick D'Amici, his character name was Mister, grabs him, says, he becomes his like teacher, and this is how you're going to live. This is how you're going to have to live now in this day and age. Takes him. There's a scene in that beginning when you know, his parents are getting killed, and his brother or sister, it's a little baby, and the vampires chewing on the baby, and then when they tilt the light up and the vampire like just drops the baby, I'm like, oh boy, this is my type of movie. They don't, you know, they're dropping a baby now off a thing because the vampire just tore it apart and ate it, and I that kind of set me up going, oh, okay, we got something here because these people aren't, you know, afraid to show something that someone might go, oh man, you can't show that. You can't show a vampire eating a 6-month-old baby, you know, but they did.
Yeah, I mean, they push some boundaries, which I respect them for. Like I said, there's a lot of good things in this, and I think there
Yep,
was a really good movie in between. If I would have liked to see a little bit more about the vampires. You really don't know a lot about them. You don't really know how the infestation started and how we got to the point of the barn, or how Mister even was there
sure.
when Martin's parents were killed. I wish there was a little more emotion where losing his parents was a little more affecting, and you know that. And I know it's been done before, but Martin and Mister kind of being cold, but the kid kind of grows on him as he gets stronger and capable, and really, you know, I love the fact that they do that in a sense. You know, Mister, there's a whole cycle through him, and he sees Martin grow as a vampire killer and really able to protect himself. But
Yeah,
I
be
wish
able
we
to
could have
handle
just gotten a
himself.
little more meat between the two of them
Now, as we
and a
said,
little more
I
contact.
was saying that there's some religious peoples. I can't think of what was the guy's name that played the Jebediah.
Let me pull that up again.
Um,
It was Michael Cervantes or
yeah, Michael
Cervantes.
Cervantes. So
Cervantes.
he plays a religious leader, and you know he thinks God has changed the world and sent these vampires to take care of the world. And he's a very powerful guy, and he's a little nuts. But what the Brotherhood, as they were called, were doing when they want to take over a town, they were dropping these vampires out of helicopters just onto the, you know, this compound, just throwing them out. And then these vampires are hitting the ground and tearing apart I was just like, oh, I love that. I love that it's thinking outside of the box, and you're never going to ever, you know, hear of a movie where they're dropping vampires. I mean, you could have done the same thing with a zombie. You could have, you know, any kind of creature you want to drop out of the helicopter, it's not going to die, uh, which I liked a lot. And then yeah, it was nice to see Danielle Harris. I mean, she dies a violent death, and yeah, we could have expanded on that, and but
I mean, I just don't. I would have rather seen more of Mister and Martin, and I would have liked to seen more of Jebediah. I mean,
yeah,
I would have liked to see more of, like, you kind of heard some things. They ran into him. One thing and it always bothers me in a film is when it's convenient to leave a person a chance to get out of the situation, and you know it's going to kind of cycle around. Where I just think there could have been more. I think they could have even built up the Jebediah character in person to be a more cruel, terrible person, because just the way that whole situation when they run into him, you know, the legend of Mister, we didn't really see where his legend. I mean, you kind of knew what his legend came from, but yeah, you knew why, you know, Jebediah was mad at with Mister, but it just,
yeah. Where did he
I
come
wish we
from? What
got
is
more
this?
meat of it. I wish we
Yeah,
got more conflict in it. You
sure.
know, I feel like they did a vampire version of The Walking Dead, and if they just focused on some of the issues, even if, because the vampires are there, but they are kind of a side character. It's not really like you get to know the vampires, the root, their origin, the
Sure.
downfall of society. You don't really get to see.
Now
Um,
it's funny you say Origin because
yeah,
then there was a part two called Stakelander, which I don't think they had. I think they had less of a budget for it, and there was good parts of it and stuff that definitely Stakeland one I think is the gem. But they did do a TV series called Stakeland Origins, which I cannot find, and I think that gets into all this good stuff that you would have liked to seen. And I think they did
yeah,
seven episodes, and it
I can't.
shows it. I just can't find it to watch it.
I
So
bet you on YouTube. Did you check YouTube? Sometimes something
I've been
like that. Did you check
I've been
Amazon?
I will look again. I've been looking, but I mean some of the stuff also. You know, I love that they had that Santa Claus vampire staking out
Yes.
the Andy Gump. So
Yeah,
these are
I
not
like
your
that.
typical vampires, folks. I mean, if you could cross a vampire with a zombie that moves very fast, this is kind of what their creatures were, you know. But all in all, you know, I loved it. I love the characters. You know, I did love Jim Mickles' take on all this stuff. I think if you get into some of his directing, you should go watch it, and then if you like it, go see some of.
I liked it a lot, but like you said, unfortunately, the TV series didn't happen. I think this movie would have worked even because there was so much that I think they wanted you to get, but in a realistic movie time frame, I'm sure they had a ton of edits. I can imagine that they edited a lot out um, that they couldn't fit in the movie. That the idea, the concept of basically Walking Dead with vampires in a TV series could have been, you know, unfortunately it didn't work out, but I think it would have worked better for what they were going with the story because you could tell they had a lot to say and a lot to do, but
Oh yeah,
they kind of had to do it to make it work as a movie. But
well,
overall, I enjoyed it. It was
yeah, good. I I mean, it's tough. All the movies that we watch, and it's and all the directors and all our friends that are in the business, it's tough to find stuff or someone to write something different. If you can watch movies and basically they're almost the same stories, just a little different on stuff. And so when I find something that I think is a little bit unique, I mean, still some of the old. It's like you said, it's The Walking Dead uh, with with vampires, but some of his takes on stuff and some of the deaths and some of the cool stuff in there is what made me really like it. And if the folks that are watching tonight want to go take a look at it and then
Yeah, it's
look
on
into
Tubi, part one and two. I started
it.
watching part two, and you said it's not as good as the first one, but I was really enjoying the opening scene of that movie.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
and I
No,
they
listen.
they gave hints of I don't want to give things away too much because I want people to see. I'm like that. I don't like to give too much away. But in the opening scene, there was something that was talked about in the first one that you really never saw. That it's, you know, the vampires aren't the ones you got to be afraid of. There's, you know, well, I guess
Yeah.
it's not too much of a. Well, it kind of does ruin the opening scene, but it. And I knew, like, as soon as that happened, that's what those people were, you know, in the beginning of the second one. But I thought that could have been used more in the first one too. Um, but that's just the one thing that I don't want to give
Yeah.
it. Well,
No,
should
listen. All good. I had some of the same, not reservations, but had some of the same, things I would have liked to have seen better. But all in all, it's a very very strong movie. Jim Mickle,
great acting.
yeah, great acting. Kelly McGillis. I mean, you may not reckon. I've seen that movie 100 times, and then I didn't realize it until I was watching it last night, writing some names down. I'm like, Kelly McGillis. What? I mean, are you Top Gun? Um,
Yeah,
she looks a lot different, but still, I mean, she's an A-list actress, I think. And then, Nick D'Amici, who I really like, he also did another movie which we might cover one time called Late Phases. So that's Phases, Late Phases. Wait a minute, no, Phases, I think. Anyways, he did another movie which deals with werewolves, which is great, and he is a veteran who's blind and has a dog and goes into a retirement community, and all hell breaks loose. So that's all I'll tell you on that one. But he co-wrote that. Co-wrote,
that was the one you were telling me to watch along with Stakeland one and two
yeah.
when we were
But
first.
we'll watch it again. Yeah, I think it's a
I
different
will.
take on.
I,
It's a
I
different
am
take.
I am a Dimitri fan because I did like he just played the role really well in that movie
Yeah.
in Stakeland.
All right. Well, listen. I'm glad I could turn you on to something that you liked, because I get worried, because we people have different tastes in movies, and we both love the horror movies, and we both love different things. But all in all, I'm glad you liked it, and hopefully some of the people listening tonight will go give it a watch.
Yeah, I Michael Toast here. Yeah, I enjoy it, and I always, you know, it's just like with you. You hadn't seen Vengeance, which we'll be touching on. You know, it's always good, like when you suggest these movies that are kind of obscure. May have seen, may not have seen. I hadn't seen Stakeland, so it was great that you're like, hey, check this out, and it makes me focus to have to watch a movie because sometimes I'll be running around like with work and everything like a chicken with the head cut off, and it's hard for me to focus. To have like an assignment to watch a movie kind of helps out. So
Absolutely.
it was a good watch. I enjoyed it. It's fresh on my mind still, and like I said, I'd say give it a good watch. It's on Tubi, part 1 and 2, and you know, enjoy. If you like vampires and you like some good blood and some fantastic acting, to see Kelly McGillis on screen, and when you haven't, a lot of people haven't seen her in a while, is always good because she was fantastic in the role.
She was. There
And
might
if you
be
like
some.
Danny
There
Hart,
might be some teddy bears in there with blood on it too. I don't. I mean, there's just some. There's some cool stuff.
there is some cool stuff, some very cool stuff. So we're gonna go to the challenge I had. I made you rewatch a movie
Yeah.
because it fits the vengeance. It's actually my first Friday the 13th movie that I ever saw. Watched it as a kid on one of those video cameras, the old school thing that my dad had to buy so he could tape the hockey game. And we went to the video store and we were going to Canada, so it was a good 8-9 hour drive from Massachusetts. And I watched that movie over and over with one earbud in, one of those heavy plastic ones that didn't feel comfortable at all. Watching the movie in black and white with one eye, and I loved that movie. And
Well,
it was
Tom,
my first
Friday
experience.
the 13th, part 6.
All right, now I've met both these guys recently, and both fantastic guys. It's starring C.J. Graham, who I'll be seeing next month at Missouri Comic Con, and the legend Tom Matthews from Return of the Living Dead, and plays Tommy Jarvis, and a lot of people's favorite Tommy Jarvis.
Just
In a,
just did a convention with them, and I did the horror pop up in Houston with Tom. Great guy, obviously a great actor and a guy that Return of the Living Dead. I mean, for God's sakes, and yeah, it was great. I love the opening. I forget. That's welcome.
Rorschach,
I'm 55.
Rod Palillo.
Welcome back,
R.I.P. Rest
man.
in peace. He died a few years back. Rorschach. Yeah, in that movie in part 6, he played a great part. It was like but it was a different character, and once the lightning came and brought Jason back, and he hit him with the shovel, even the sweat hogs couldn't save him. So.
Even listen, man, so as an actor, right? If you can do a little scene like that, say little scene, but you're in the 10 minutes of an opening of a movie, or 5 minutes, which is a big deal for being an actor. That's great, man. That stuff right there. He got some. He was a gem in that, and you also get for other actors out there, you get a nice little reel. You get some good footage on that, and it's a memorable. In horror movies, any movie doesn't really matter. The beginning and the end. Hopefully, if you're in the beginning of a movie, it's memorable, and definitely the lightning, him, and I love the whole the metal rod thing because that's great because we were used to Jason with machete, and all of a sudden here's C.J. Graham yielding that metal rod, which was awesome.
Man, C.J. still could play. I mean, without spoiler talk, with him being we'll get into Vengeance a little bit in part 1, but CJ's built like a Mack truck still.
He's still in great shape, man.
Oh my God, he said he's like 3 or 4 pounds heavier than he was in that movie.
He doesn't have much body fat on him. That's
no. It's super cool guy, a big ball buster. He really huge Michael Myers fan. It's so funny in the picture I got. He's got his hand over Michael Myers' face, and he busted my balls. He's like, "There's not even any, Michael Myers actors here. What the hell are you doing?" I'm like, "I got plenty of Jason stuff," and it's fun. And I even got his Elias character from Vengeance in that picture I showed you, just hanging. It was just happened to be shot that way.
When the credits are rolling too, they have the whole James Bond thing, which I thought was clever, and I totally forgot about it. But through the eye, then all of a sudden it's like, oh, this is James Bond, man, and then it's the machete, and it was very, very clever, and it made me, if I think back now, I'm going to probably watch them all again now, just so I could get it. But part 6 is definitely, I think, one of the better ones.
I do too. Like I said, I enjoyed it a lot. C.J. Graham and Brooker and Ted White are my 3 favorite Jasons. Brooker's my favorite just because he was such an animal and a beast, and CJ's probably right there with Ted White. Excuse me, Ted White. Did I say Ted White before? But Ted White and CJ Graham are right there because they just part three, part three, 4, and 6 really impacted me as my favorite ones in the series. So yeah. CJ was fantastic in that
But
movie.
I also liked it right off the bat. You got Jason killing not just camp counselors and everything. He's killing everybody. They're going through just. You got a lot of kills in the first 30 minutes of that movie, and it's just a lot of different people, which was great. So
They did do a great job with bringing him back and coming with the zombie Jason, because up till that point, Jason was human. And how do you bring him back after part 4? Because his head was pretty much sliced off. And I thought they handled it real well. It was a really cool way, like you said, with the stake. It was a different weapon form at first to use. It was a cool look with them holding it. It's iconic look, and the way they brought him back was that Frankenstein monster way, where the lightning brought him to life, and I thought that was really cool. Tom McLaughlin had a big hand in that. He's fantastic. Who's also involved in the Vengeance movies,
right?
Yeah, director. Yeah.
Who's it? Oh yeah, he's Tom's in. I'm confusing my movies. Tom is he directed it, but he's also in Vengeance.
Yeah. He's in Vengeance 1 and 2. Yeah.
Darcy DeMoss, who I got
Darcy DeMoss reprises her role,
nice
but she's in
the motorhome.
Yep, Nikki. She was, she's still fantastic, and she's been super busy lately.
Oh
yeah. I love seeing a lot of these '80s, '90s actors that were in some of the films I love making a great comeback and doing their thing.
And on a stuntman level, when they crash that motorhome, that's a big stunt to do. I should have. I was going to look up who did the stunt on that, but that's a big deal to take a motorhome and just get that high off of a jump and flip it was great. And Jason standing on the overturned RV from a little bit of an angle, a little distance was really cool. That's a picture I would love to get signed by CJ. Him standing on top of that friggin' motorhome turned over, that was cool.
Mike, we're talking about, because I'm going to be seeing him. Maybe we'll do an art piece like that with Michael Toth. That'd be a pretty cool one.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, Michael Toth, come on, buddy.
The Tothinator. Well, we're already got it on the works. I know. I'm going to see, and this is going to be nice. It'll be a little different because I'm not at a table, but actually you're just able to go walk around. So I'm going to take some art pieces from Michael Toth and a few other things, and just kind of enjoy it and not have to set up. And
oh yeah, man. I mean, that's the night. I love going to conventions. Even, I love just going. I would go with my wife and we'll go check stuff out. And I just love to be able to go and say hello to people, because you can't say hello to them all the time. And
no.
Because you're working. Like, I don't even know if you don't have someone with you at your table. How do you leave your table with all that expensive, cool shiznit you got at your table?
And usually I'm exhausted, so I'm looking like that, and big bags under my eyes, because it is work. It's between Thursday and Friday getting set up, and then knowing you got to get everything packed up and done Sunday. Saturday is usually the only day I can enjoy at a convention where I'm not worried about setting up or taking down. But that's usually the busiest day. So, this is going to be nice. This is going to be nice to go visit. Maybe one of these days I'll get to the point where I can just take some banners and stuff and some little items, but I just can't do that right now. I got to bring that heat and that cool stuff.
There was a couple lines in there that were great, and when the kids were in their cabin, the kid says, "We are dead meat," and then he says, "What were you going to be when you grew up?" And I'm like, that's cool. I think that would be cool on a shirt. What were you going to be when you grew up? Because they think they're dying, and it's definitely Jennifer Cook was great.
Vincent Costantaro was great as the sheriff too.
Oh yeah, that guy was great. I mean, that's another note I had down. He was tremendous and believable. I don't even know if he's still alive, but a great actor.
I believe he is. He is.
He was great in it.
But don't mark my words though.
But and then the outboard motor to Jason's face and neck, I really loved, and it's a solid. I think it's one of the better.
Hey Jason, it's me you want.
Yeah.
Tom Matthews.
But yeah, I loved it. I'm glad we picked that to watch, and we could have picked so many to watch, but that's definitely. I was definitely tickled pink to watch it, as they say, and now it's gonna force me. I'm looking up here and I'm realizing the menu is on my TV. Good movie, folks. If you haven't watched The Menu, by the way.
The Menu. Oh yeah. I've heard that's a good one. That's the new one that just came out, right?
Yeah, really, really good movie. And yeah, I'm glad we picked this one to watch. I mean, it's. I can't say that growing up I mean, obviously I liked the Friday the 13th, but it wasn't my go-to. I'm going to watch it 100 times. But now that I watched this again, and I'm like, God, I'm going to have to. I have the whole series here. I got the big spent $150 to get every movie they've done. So in one box set. So I think I'm going to, even though I probably won't even stick the DVD in, I'll just stream all this stuff. But I'm glad we got back into it, and I'm glad that you turned me on to this next movie we're going to talk about.
Yeah, and tomorrow I'm like, well, it's Friday the 13th tonight, and I have Jason Brooks on tomorrow night. I'm like, we got to watch. Let's watch a Friday the 13th, and it just made sense to do Friday the 13th and introduce you to the Vengeance movie.
Yeah.
And now we go back, which part 6 was the last official the Jarvis timeline. So in this movie, Tommy Jarvis is missing. His kids are involved. You got more notes for it. It's been a little while. I wanted to rewatch it because I've got Vengeance 2 on there on my mind. I believe it's Sine who plays the daughter of Tommy Jarvis. I don't even want to try to say her last name. But yeah, here we go. I got the cast up here. What am I doing here? Sine Lucis, I think that's how you say her name. Somebody in here will be able to tell me. Steve Dash is the sheriff, the late great Steve Dash from Friday 13th Part 2. We have C.J. Graham back in Friday 13th Part 6 playing Jason's father, Elias. And man, what a great look they picked for C.J. in that.
Yeah, he looked evil.
He looked mean. He played it. He played it evil too, and he was.
He was great. So Vengeance explains a little bit about, it explains a little bit about Part 6 and what's going on from Part 6, and it also explains a little bit about with C.J. Graham being his father and this Elias Voorhees, explains a little bit why, what is going on, and when they let a young Jason, a young Ari Lehman die without paying attention, and then it all kind of comes back to, man, you let my kid die 20 years ago, and now me and my kid are going to take a little vengeance on everybody.
I really like how they made it almost it's a Friday the 13th Jason story, but having CJ back, Elias is just as big of a character in that movie, if not more than Jason. And I'll tell you, they're both scary in it. I mean, CJ was menacing as Elias in that movie.
He was
for sure.
Top-notch score. Look at for a fan film. I hate that we call it fan films, but for a fan film, and I don't know what the budget was. Top-notch score. The music was tremendous. It's super 80s, right? If you grew up loving an 80s horror flick, you're going to love this movie because it is an 80s horror flick done. I don't know when they shot this, a couple years ago, but
I forget what year it came out. I know A Vengeance was the end of 2022, and it's 2019 this one came out.
Yeah, so Jeremy Brown, I can't think of, it was one of the directors, and Destin, I can't say his last name, did a great job on it. I didn't know what to expect, but right off the bat, when I see, I love it when, so it's Jason Brooks. I want to say C.J. Graham, but Jason Brooks, who you're going to have on tomorrow playing Jason. and
Fantastic job.
coming out of the water and killing that first guy with the rock. So
Yeah.
that comes from the part 6. And then I love the sleeping bag where it reminded me, you got to have a good sleeping bag murder,
Oh,
right? There's only a
absolutely.
few movies that have it. Prophecy, Frankenheimer's the monster movie. Prophecy has a very famous scene where the big monster, kills these kids hopping in sleeping bags. And so I love that opening scene where, Jason Brooks and, Jason is killing them, slamming the two guys in the tent in the sleeping bag over the rocks. I was like, well, this is great. I'm already hooked.
Yeah, well, you're gonna love Vengeance too, so you got to watch that. But I'll tell you one thing: the reason I watched this movie was my good friend Mick Strawn, a production designer from Nightmare on Elm Street 3, 4, Boogie Nights. He's been on the show. I know you know him. I don't know if you know him personally.
I don't know him yet. I
Super.
know him just from
Yeah.
watching your show and following
Yes.
it.
He is one of the most talented guys from the '80s, and I mean, the dude is a legend at what he's done. Uh, awesome guy. Become good friends with him. But he worked on this show, and we were both getting ready to go to Phantasm, and he told me that he worked on Vengeance with Tom McLaughlin. I'm like, Tom McLaughlin, C.J. Graham, and I thought I'd seen it, and I'm like, but I haven't seen it. And I watched it. I'm like, man, that was my favorite fan film to that date. So big shout out to Mick Strawn, who did a fantastic job in that, working on that project. Another person got to give a big shout out to Roseblood's own Peter Anthony was in the movie. I know he had a lot to do behind the scenes. As you guys know, Peter Anthony's been on the show. Incredibly talented guy. Actually, I got Peter Anthony here. I got this art piece. I'm trying to still figure out what to do. I know Peter loved it. A little Doom's blood, but yeah, Peter Anthony was in there. He plays a prisoner. He puts his mean mug in there, and he was great. Who else? Tom McLaughlin from Friday
Sure.
13th Part 6, the playing the Krypt Keeper, and that had to have a big. I don't know how much. You know, they're all so humble. I haven't had a chance to talk to Tom McLaughlin, but they're all so humble. Jason Brooks is incredibly humble, but
Yeah. I
just
like
a talented team to put this movie together on almost no budget. And
yeah, listen, the people it's when you're putting something together like that, like you said, with no budget, and you have a couple people that have done big things that are very smart on the business, and they are in that movie with you, and they are helping behind the scenes or in front of the camera. That's great. The two competing the killer groups, the folks, come out and go on our killer group, and we're going to take you I thought that was great and very fun, and it was awesome. And then I should have started counting how many murders were in it because they kill
there's a lot.
Kill everybody. I mean, there's people, the convicts all getting murdered. I mean, I love some of the the campers got killed, the hunters were killed, the convicts were killed, the camp counselors were killed. I mean, I liked a lot of the kills. I thought they have clever use with the roadside sign they used, the water bottle through the head, of course the machete, the rock, and so I like that there was a little witchcraft implied in it. You had a little witchcraft because that explains a lot of stuff, right? In previous, even the big movies, I'm just going to take for granted that this guy comes back from the dead and he never dies and he just can't die. But I liked a little bit that there was a little witchcraft, little implied.
Yeah, well, they used a little I want to say
Book of the Dead.
Evil Dead, yeah, Evil Dead, the Book of the Dead Necronomicon.
Yeah.
And you know who my favorite character in the movie was, though? Louis Carlisle. I couldn't figure out who the actor was, so when Jason was on and talking Vengeance, and I don't know if you've seen a picture of Jason Brooks, he was Louis. I did not realize that. I was trying to look up Louis because he was hilarious. He was one of my favorite characters. That's Jason Brooks playing another role, and I thought Louis was fantastic. There's a long story with that, but it was cool they put him in. It was a character from other things he's done, and yeah, it was that was my favorite character in the movie for sure.
Yeah,
just because he was hilarious.
It's the '80s. There's a little nudity in there, just the right amount of nudity and a ton of kills and enough explaining that it makes sense, which I think a lot of people doing movies that maybe don't have a budget, don't have this and that you get into this movie and it doesn't make sense, but it made sense. I liked it. I mean, I am all in for part two. I thought Jason Brooks did a great. I kept going. I didn't realize that wasn't C.J. Graham. I'm like, man, C.J. Graham's doing two different roles. He's playing his father, and then I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Then I looked at it, read it. I'm like, I
Yeah,
got
but
it.
Jason really picked up the part six because every Jason actor plays it different. But Jason puts his own Jason into the character. But you can't. I mean, their body shape, CJ and Jason's very similar. I think Jason Brooks did a
Did a
fantastic
great
job
job.
as Jason. He's good
Yeah, did a tremendous job.
seamlessly.
And then he so in part two, which I haven't seen yet, he actually directs it as well.
Yeah, I thought he directed the first one, but I'm wrong on that. But yeah, and there's quite a few great people. I know Tam Glenn. She's got a big
Yeah.
role in there. Darcy DeMoss it comes back from part six. And the funny thing, you keep saying with part six, there was the right amount of nudity. Part six, Friday the 13th, Jason Lives is the only one that didn't have any nudity in it.
All right.
So it's ironic that you go to Vengeance and they definitely brought it back. They made up for it.
They made up for it. Yeah,
they made up for it.
It's not over the top. It's not.
No.
It's not over the top. But I look at. I liked it.
It was done well.
Yeah, they did it well. Look, it's. I'm excited to see what guys like this, the Jason Brooks and these guys and what's his name, Jeremy. Where is he? I just want to get his name right. Jeremy Brown, I think it is, or the director of this one. It's I would love to see what these guys do next. It's the same thing. I've worked with some directors and done some, done a fan film and I'd love to see what these guys, giving them some money, giving them a budget. Say, here's $1 million. Here's $2 million. Let's see what they could do, because if with the budgets they did on this stuff, the Merlots and these guys and the Jason, your Jason Brooks on the part two, which I'm going to watch. I would love to see these guys get some money, and I'm sure we know that they got some scripts sitting at home.
There's some talented people in this indie community. I'm telling you, Jason Brooks reminds me of Damien Leone in the sense where Damien Leone from Terrifier did Terrifier, the writer director of Terrifier, but he also did the practical effects, which adds a lot. And I know Jason didn't do the practical effects in there, but he is very good at practical effects. He even showed like the severed head of him that he did the work on. And you have to be multi-talented in this indie community. You can direct, but you need to almost direct, act, to be able to do the special effects. And I thought the practical effects in this movie were fantastic. And they up it in the second one for sure. I think you're going to really enjoy it. And the killings are times, I bet you, 3 or 4 in the next movie. They don't hold anything back. There's some creative kills in Vengeance and in Vengeance 2. I really love the creativity that they add to Jason kills in the movie too.
Well, yeah, I mean, what are some of the people that are with us tonight? What are they saying? Any comments?
Not a lot of comments. Seems like the comments kind of slowed down. It seems like people are just watching. We got a ton of people out watching us right now, which is pretty cool. Maybe they're just fascinated with what we're saying, Brett. I don't know. But I'm glad to see everybody here celebrating Friday 13th. They're probably drinking beer or something, having one for me, since I can't have any. But yeah, Vengeance was fantastic. I'm excited for you to watch Vengeance 2. I'm excited to be talking to Jason Brooks tomorrow because, I really believe he's one of the most talented guys out there. I'd love to see him do an original script, because he definitely has that talent. But he does understand the Friday 13th, and I love the continuation of part 7 didn't feel anything connected to part 6. I love the look of part 7, part 8, part 9. They all felt like different movies, but I love the way they continued the part 4, 5, 6 Jarvis storyline, but also just continuing from part 6 with Tom Matthews, involving C.J. Graham. At least the Tom Matthews Tommy Jarvis character and his family. And I thought they did that really well, how they they introduced his kids, and they're looking for him pretty much, and it just the whole. I love
It
the
worked.
ending. Yeah, it worked so well, and when I watched it, Vengeance 2 was just about to come out a few months or something, maybe 6, 8 months. So I was really excited for that, and I was glad I watched Vengeance. And you guys can find it on YouTube. It's free to watch. Vengeance 1, Vengeance 2. Um, I highly recommend, especially leading into tomorrow, having Jason Brooks on. Have your questions ready because it's gonna be a lot of fun to talk Vengeance. And if you're
Yeah,
around, Brett, you're welcome to come on
yeah, I should
and
be
join
around.
me.
I'm just studying. I'm filming a movie next week for a couple days in Tucson with Chuck Williams, a guy who's an actor and also a director, and he's been in a ton of movies. And Bubba Hotep, and Chuck's been in so many movies, but he
Yeah,
was out
that's
here
the one you
in
mentioned to me, right? That's coming up for you.
yeah. So I'm filming that next week, which I'm excited. I got a couple days on it, so I will drive up to Tucson. So that's why I've been hitting the gym hard, trying to lose like 10 pounds in the last
Insane. You're
2 weeks.
looking ripped, dude.
Oh, stop! That's because you can't see the gut, and I have the
That's
forearms
what's
look
great
good.
about tables. You just tuck it under the table.
I know, and I'm not at a table now. I'm on the couch because I'm
Well,
sore.
you get the arm roll, and you can just kind of flex it up, and you look like, yeah, I've been hitting the
You
gym.
try to push everything down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I hit the gym.
So
Oh,
now, now? So you're telling me I should also watch? So I'm going to watch Vengeance, too, and you're
Vengeance
telling me
2.
I
If you
should
haven't
watch?
seen Roseblood with Peter Anthony,
No, I'm going to watch
I
that.
know he's a big fan. He's watched a few times. I know he's probably watching one of Jason Brooks's streams now because they were doing the Vengeance 2 watch along with Darcy DeMoss or Darcy the Mail Girl. And yeah, man, yeah, watch Roseblood. Roseblood's well done. I know you've watched the Sawyer Massacre. We'll have to get Steve
Yeah, yeah,
Merlo
yeah.
on here
I love the Sawyer
and talk the
Massacre.
Sawyer Massacre to him. Let's see. Well, I'm trying to think of some other. Uh, my good friend James Grimm did My Special Boy, which is another Friday 13th film. It's worth giving a watch. It was well done. And there's just so many really good indie films that I've seen lately. You watch Clown in the Woods, you really enjoyed, and big shout out to those guys. And I saw you
Yeah.
donated a pop. I got to reach out to them and do
Oh,
something.
yeah. And mentioning pops. What are
Oh
we going to
yeah,
do?
yes.
This is the 119. This is the 111. This is the 1119 1119. This is the uh, Hot Topic exclusive. This is the Hammer Leatherface pop. So we got to give this away. Do something with it.
I say we announce something, and since we're joining each other either tomorrow or Monday, we create a little raffle,
Yeah, we
spin
can
a
give this
wheel.
away Monday when Jeff, the
We'll
owner
hype
of
it up, and that way, people, you got to be watching the stream, and you'll be entered to spin on the wheel, and we'll spin the wheel, and we'll do a giveaway.
that's
I
a
think
great
that'd be
idea. Spin the wheel. I
the
feel like
wheel of.
we're in Mad Max Thunderdome.
That's
Two
what I'm
men enter,
saying.
one man leave.
Yeah, yeah. Michael Toast all over. He's ready to spin the wheel. Just watched 71 Duel last night, huh?
Oh,
Or
come
not?
on. Listen, that's Spielberg's first legit movie, right? Movie of the week it was. We used to call those things movie of the week. Duel. What's the used to do the bank commercials, the actor, the lead actor in it. You never see the truck driver's face ever in that movie. You see his boots, you see his arms. It's still a very frightening movie. And to think that is Steven Spielberg's first movie that he ever did is, I mean, legit movie, which it was a movie of the week, is pretty amazing. I can't think of the actor. Michael
I
Toe.
can't think of it either. I watched it. I've watched. It's been years since I watched it. It took me a little while to remember that movie, and yes, it was a good one. It was kind of Maximum Overdrive before Maximum Overdrive.
100%. And that truck, there's guys that own that truck. I think they're in North Carolina that own that same. So they crashed one of the trucks, but they had, from what I remember watching, and I think Spielberg said they had to come back and shoot something else, so they had to recreate the truck that they had already crashed. and a guy owns that in North Carolina who collects trucks, and that is one of those. I really would love to do another Duel. I think Duel is it is one of those movies that you could do again today. It would be really
Maybe a fan film would be the best way to go instead of Hollywood messing it up. You know how that
well. We
goes.
could, gosh, we just got to get the money. I bet if we went to Spielberg and get him on the show here and say we want to redo
Ah,
the
sure.
movie.
You know, hey, Steven, I'm going to do you a favor. I'm going to do you a solid. I'm going to invite you on a Doomsday's Krypt podcast with me and Brett Wagner.
Hey, he was out last night signing autographs, by the way.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, so he doesn't sign a lot, but he was out last night, and my wife was very mad. You know, my wife hustles and goes and loves to hunt to get autographs. In fact, she's out tonight because Demi Moore is out doing a Q&A talking about something. Nice. And so she's going out there to get Demi Moore's autographs, which she's never gotten. So I'll tell you a funny story real quick. I used to work at a big nightclub called Vertigo, and we had a side entrance, and if anybody came up that stairs, they either tipped the doorman or they were famous. And so here comes Bruce Willis, and I thought it looked like a really young girl, and I was like, I see her. I said, "Hi, how you doing, Bruce? Can I see your ID?" And he looks at me, and then it's her looking up, and he goes, "You really need my wife's ID?" And I'm like, "Oh, no, I'm sorry, I apologize."
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
But yeah, that was her. So the wife's gonna get some autographs from her tonight. But yeah, you know, there's so much. There's so many of these guys that you bring on here that you give you know, ample time to, the Merlots and the Jason Brooks and these guys, and I get to watch their stuff. I want to work with these guys. You know, I don't, fan film or not. I mean, I love to work with people that are creative and cool and put something out good. So I look forward to. I love, you know, who's next. I love the Clown in the Woods guys. I mean, I think that's those guys are gonna do something cool, you know, next. And it's just these budgets, right? We got to get these guys some budgets. And
exactly. There's a ton of just fantastic. Michael Pickles got a new movie coming out, The Dead Place, and that's an indie project.
That's right.
Yeah. Jason Pitts is another one who's got a lot of talent. And Mike was saying Schwag should be the 2023 dual driver. I could see that.
What a dream! That's a dream. I mean,
but can you drive an 18-wheeler is the question.
Yes.
All right, you're hired. We're doing this.
I drove an 18-wheeler on 2 years ago on a TV show for Netflix, all in Spanish, called El Rey, which is about Vicente Fernandez, and it was for Netflix, and it's all in Spanish except my lines. But I had to learn to drive an 18-wheeler on that, an old 18, like a
old Mac
72 Peterbilt, man, or whatever it was.
Okay.
But I had a crash course in 30 minutes on how to drive this thing.
And, they're not as easy as people think. There's a lot that goes into, especially the older ones. They are not user-friendly, we'll call it.
No, listen, I kept trying to, so I was shifting. I kept pushing in the clutch, and the guy's like,
can't find them, grind them.
He's like, don't stick in the clutch, just shift, put it into gear. And I'm like, what? He's like, just put it into gear. And I was like, all right. So after 30 minutes and getting yelled at by some old crusty guy, smoking, by the way.
Windows closed for you, right?
Don't smoke next to me. But,
don't open the windows. I like to immense.
But yeah, that was pretty awesome. And yeah, man, it's one of my favorite movies. I don't think it gets a lot.
No, it's very under the radar. Like I just happened to watch it, and it was great.
Dennis Weaver, I think his name is.
I can look it up real quick.
Who was the lead actor in that thing? So when I was growing up, he was doing all these bank commercials because he had this voice and this look, and I was like, But yeah, man, Duel would be great. Come on, Merlot.
Yeah, we could do a review of it. You know, that could be a movie guide. I'd love to rewatch. Yeah, Dennis Weaver played David Mann, Jacqueline Scott, Eddie Firestone was the cafe owner. Let's see if there's anybody. Lou Frizzle played the bus driver. Well, we could go through that, and that it even has a 7.6 on IMDb, which is pretty good score for a horror thriller. But yeah, director Steven Spielberg, writer Richard Matheson, Dennis Weaver, Jacqueline Scott, and Eddie Firestone. So yeah, I'm down to rewatch it. It's been a few years, but it was a lot of fun. It was a fun movie to watch.
Yeah, it's one of those things that gets you anxious, right?
Yeah.
So whenever I'm out driving, like I got to drive to Tucson, I'll leave early in the morning. I'll leave when it's a little bit dark. I always listen. I trip out when I see a big truck behind me. I don't like a truck behind me. I don't like a truck on the side of me. I will get out of the way because of that movie. And then another movie that there's a couple trucker movies out there that have been real good. I want to say it was with Kurt Russell, where they kidnap his wife with the truck and everything. And
yeah, what was it? Black Dog? Not Black. Was it Black Dog?
No, that was Patrick Swayze and Meatloaf.
That's right. Oh, what's the one you're thinking?
You know, and
I know which one you're talking about.
I auditioned for that to play Meatloaf's character. And so when I got beat out of it, I was like, well, at least I got beat out by Meatloaf.
That's right. I know which one you're talking about, though.
Breakthrough, not Breakthrough.
Breakdown. Was it Breakdown?
Might have been.
I remember. Yeah, it was a good movie. We can do a whole
trucker night. We can watch. You know what we should do? We should do 3 movies. We'll do Duel. We'll do that Patrick Swayze movie with Meatloaf.
And Mike's recommended The Outsiders because it'll make him watch it.
The Outsiders is great. What are you talking about? Oh, Outsiders is one of the.
Well, he hasn't watched it yet.
The movie?
He still hasn't watched it. He watches all these movies. He still hasn't seen The Outsiders. Can do Outsiders, so I remember to watch it finally.
I mean, I read that book in high school. I had to read that book.
S.E. Hinton. Yeah, I love the book. I mean, the movie's great, but the book's even better. So,
Michael Toth, if you look at the actors that came out of that movie, The Outsiders, you're Tom Cruise,
Emilio Estevez, Patrick Swayze,
Tom Cruise,
God, it had
Rob Lowe. What's her name? The redhead.
Matt Dillon.
Matt Dillon. Come on.
Yeah.
We do it for Johnny.
Do it for Johnny. Let's do it for Johnny.
Do it for Johnny.
Do it for Johnny.
Karate
It's a great movie. Yeah, it was one of the few book movies that translated really, really well. Hello, HGX. A long time no see. I hope everything is well with you. Facebook user saying, yo, Big Brett. How you doing? And Paul Nada is saying, Brett, can you find a John Cena pre-WWE when he had the 2-foot red mohawk? We could have put Brett in a red mohawk.
No, he's talking about
looking like a Road Warrior.
John Cena used to have a weird. John Cena used to be, when I wrestled, when I was in the business with him, when he first started out, he was the prototype. He wasn't John Cena yet. Then he left the Ultimate Pro Wrestling, where I was working as a heel manager, as we call it, and then he went to Ohio Valley, we were a single A baseball. Then he went up to triple A baseball, basically Ohio Valley. Then he went to the WWE or the WWF back then, and the rest is history.
Yeah, and he's blowing up now that he's post wrestling.
He's a great actor.
I'll tell you, he's the Peacemaker series I thought was hilarious. I'm looking forward to season 2 with your good friend, Mr. Robert Patrick.
RP, man, Robert Patrick killing it. The number one. So listen,
1883.
Robert Patrick is so amazing. So that was the number one TV show, The Peacemaker, in the world, by the way, not just the United States, in the world. That show was big. That was like when Baywatch was the most watched TV show in the world. That means they're
one of the best intros too. I mean, that whole intro was great. But HGX Helly is saying Breakdown is the movie.
Breakdown is the movie. All right, cool.
Yeah, we'll watch that. We could do a review of it. I guess we're going to wind up wrapping it up.
Yeah, we're good, man.
But tomorrow night, if you're around, you said I'll send you the link. You can come on. You can ask Jason Brooks some questions. Watch Vengeance 2. We're going to be focused mainly on that, but we'll talk some Vengeance 1, of course, and probably some Part 6, and working with CJ and Tom McLaughlin.
I'm going to go watch it right now. So if I do come on tomorrow night, same time, same channel.
Yeah, same time, same place.
Same fat channel.
Saturday the 14th.
Well, hey man, happy Friday the 13th to
Happy
you.
Friday 13th.
Always a pleasure. I'm glad that this year's starting off good for the both of us. We're real excited, and you keep getting more people involved in your channel here and in your life in general, which is great. And you are an interesting cat. You do a lot of good. I know there's going to be a lot of big announcements for you towards the in the middle of this year and beyond, and we're going to get to go hang out. So definitely come see us in East Moline. I believe that's in September. I could be wrong, right? September. We're going to be at Midwest Monster Fest together.
Yep.
Come see us in September. Come see, John's going to be at the Crypticons early, and I think I will be back in June over at the Gustero 4th annual Chopper deal. So we'll get together out there and have some burgers and some nice cold tasty beverage, and hopefully get to see your guys again.
Absolutely. And Mr. Roseblood, Mr. Vengeance is here. Also, Peter Anthony, welcome to the stream, buddy. Happy Friday 13th to you. I actually was talking about you tonight. We talked a little bit about the Krypt blood picture. I know you love that. I've been meaning to reach out to you because I got that in, and I wanted to see. I had a couple ideas I thought maybe you'd like. So I'll reach out to you, Peter, soon. Brett, thank you for coming on the show. Chat, thanks for being here. We had some great numbers tonight. Very excited. Tomorrow night, Jason Brooks, and then Monday we're going to be talking to Jeff O'Neill. Is that right? From the promoter from Midwest Monster Fest. Looking forward to sitting down and meeting him and discussing Midwest Monster Fest. That's going to be a fun show.
All right, my friend. All right, folks. We appreciate you. I appreciate you, and I'll holler at you soon, bro.
All right. Take care, guys. Take care, Brett.